Welcome to another edition of the Mael Time Podcast. I'm joined today by Jen Airley, and I actually want to put the introduction on you, Jen. How would you introduce yourself?
Wow, how would I introduce myself? So Jen, I'm just Jen. Although sometimes I like to reveal that my Hebrew name is Rachel, because I very, very much identify with our mama Rachel, or Rachel, but I don't really go by that. I just feel like, no, I'm just Jen.
Okay, so Jen Rachel, how did the world come to know you as a public figure in Israel?
Honestly, I feel like it's the craziest thing. I feel like it's still not even like a reality. I don't know. I just do my day life. I don't even acknowledge it because to me it just doesn't seem real. Really, the reason I am even talking to you, because you wouldn't know me and I wouldn't know you, is really all, unfortunately, after our Benyamin was killed, and certain videos of the funeral and days around that became viral. And then the Shiva house was crazy. Look, we know a lot of people. My husband knows people. I know people. Benyamin knows like the world. And Baruch Hashem, we have 6 kids. So everybody had their people come, and the house was always full. And then somehow, these missions, these groups from America were coming, and they came to visit, which was really nice, although I wasn't so nice at the time. I'll actually share that when they came into the house, they would say, we don't know you. We just came. We're here visiting. And I said, well, are you on a one-way ticket or round trip? And they said round trip. I said, well, just let me know when you're here on a one-way ticket. I wasn't, but anyway, I apologized afterwards. But so they.
Well, I mean, look, it has to be extremely tough. All of a sudden, your son falls in Gaza, and your grieving time isn't just a private event; it's a national.
Yeah,
it's a national event.
We learned that Benyamin was not just our son; he was the nation's. That's how we felt. We felt like everybody's coming. They feel connected to Benyamin, or they feel connected to what he did, what he believes, what our soldiers are all doing. So we respected that. And when people came and said that they don't know us, and we're like, okay, this is Am Yisrael. We're just all in this together. It's okay. And then somehow, the day after Shiva, and the day after that, and the day after that turned into all these groups coming still. And somehow, then I don't know. Then they asked me to come here, come there, and I'm like, all right, I'll go. And that's how it happened. I can't. There's nothing else really.
So you said after Benyamin fell that he had a love affair with the land of Israel. Can you speak about? Well, no, I'm saying you. I think when you were eulogizing him, you said something to that effect. If I was reading Times of Israel correctly, can you describe Benyamin's relationship with Israel?
First of all, if you don't mind, I'm going to just correct one thing. I have a little pet peeve, and I don't like to say
Absolutely.
he fell. He rose up.
So I apologize, and I'm also going to apologize to the wrestler family who also told me that it's important. He rose up. He rose up from Gaza, and he rose up.
That's what we feel. He was very connected to the land. I mean, it's funny because now I'm even like remembering his like crazy high school years when he would like even walk barefoot to connect to the ground. But I think that was just another phase. Like meaning walk outdoors barefoot. But
So he walked to school barefoot to connect with the land.
Oh, he didn't walk to school. No, he would just, when he'd go to the shop, I don't know. He just did these like weird things like that. Like he just like felt like, who needs shoes? Like connect to the land. But that's probably like not necessarily related to his passion for the kedusha of the holiness of land. But he always really, really believes that Israel is a place for all the Jews. And he believed that everyone should be here. He studied, even as a teenager, he was very into learning. He would read history books, like modern history books, at the start of the land and the Arab conflict. And this is his pleasure reading, was modern history in Hebrew. And he and he would always, he wouldn't see the point in like going to hang out at a mall. He would go hang out by a Mayan, by like a wellspring. That's where he would hang out with his friends. Go sit, you build a bonfire, you hang out by the water, you hang out by the, I don't know, you make a bonfire anywhere. You just chill, you just sit, you sleep by the beach, everything outdoors. He was just, and then, so when you have an outdoor nature lover combined with believing, like he was just incredibly passionately idealistic and believed in the inherent holiness of the land, well, then you put that all together and it's like all your loves all in one. And I don't know which one was superimposed on what, like what one was, but it was all of that. You just go on hikes, you go spend time outdoors, you go eat outside. Everything was just, and then came the developing of the land. When he was 16, he started volunteering at a farm, a Shabbat, as we call it here. It's not like one of these, like, it wasn't like an agriculture farm. It was a piece of land protecting the community of Neve Tzuf out in Binyamin, by the Shomron area. But he would spend time out there and different farms where it's there to protect the Jewish communities from the Arab villages not so far away, our Arab communities. So he would be there and he would take the cows herding. He would spend time building, planting, and protecting. And that's how he spent his teenage years.
How old was he when you made Aliyah?
He was 4.
So he did Benyamin and your other children feel that they integrated into Israeli society pretty naturally, or has it been a development as Olim?
So I'll tell you, we came to Israel with 3 kids, 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and an almost 2-year-old. And then we had 3 others after living here. We live in Ramat Beit Shemesh. Ramat Beit Shemesh is like one step away from America, meaning it's very Anglo. So I have, let's say, my oldest daughter who got married to an English speaker, and they are, obviously they're both Israeli, but meaning she's here since she's 6, but she's Anglo. And then there's Benyamin, who nobody in school or in the army, they wouldn't know he even spoke English until he'd be on the phone with me and they'd be like, "Ma, like, why do you speak English?" They had no idea because he's like hardcore Israeli, like more Israeli than Israelis. And then my next one after that is again like more Anglo. I have a kid who, my daughter, my youngest, 10, 11 years old. She's obviously born here and everything here, and she's more comfortable in English and reads English books as opposed to Hebrew books. One on top of her, it does the opposite. So different.
I think that I know I've heard from speaking to some families that have unfortunately experienced a tragedy or a difficult time after making Aliyah to Israel, that it changes their integration with society in some ways, because now I don't want to say they're now part of it, but they're now in speaking to other families who've made Aliyah and unfortunately experienced a very difficult time or a tragedy. They've expressed to me that their relationship with the state of Israel and the land of Israel has changed somewhat, and that they now have a family member who has paid the ultimate price, and it affects their relationship in some way. Have you felt a similar impact?
I don't know what others have said, but I feel that my love and connection has only strengthened. I guess that's what it means when you say Eretz Yisrael niknet b'yisurim, to you acquire the land through difficulties and suffering, and we've definitely done our share of investment now. And not just the land, but even the people. I feel like I gave my sacrifice for Am Yisrael. I gave my sacrifice not just for the land, but we literally gave a korban. We literally offered up a sacrifice for the people, for the unity of the people. So it's definitely strengthened, which is so crazy when you think about it. Like, I don't know if that makes sense logically, but the day that Benyamin was killed, that Shabbat, I remember my brother came over right after Shabbos, and I literally said to him, like, I wish we can go back in time. Like, I just wish we can go back in time. And he said, like, to when? And I said, well, not before Aliyah, like that. I would never trade. Like I would never go back to that. And then when he said, like, so to when? I'm like, I guess to before October 7th. And then I said, actually, I wouldn't even want to go back to before that, even if it means that we've had to pay this price personally.
Really? You wouldn't go back to before October 7th?
No, not for our nation, not for what we've become. And I know that many would disagree with me, and I know that's painful to hear. We've just changed. We've changed as a people. Our values are different. Our focus is different. Our care for each other is different. Our love for the way all of the world has been involved, meaning all the Jewry from around the world, the way everybody's been so involved. It's never been like that. We've never in our history had Jews around the world be as giving and as focused and as caring and as involved as this past 16 months. And I gave my sacrifice for that. Yeah.
I'm speechless. So I'm actually, it's extremely moving, and there's something so deep about what you're saying and your
It's pathetic that it had to be this way. Yes. It's not okay that this is our reality, but we're different.
I'm just in awe of your absolute strength and unity, because it's very easy for someone on the outside to have hypothetical discussions about what it means to have a sacrifice and what it means to give it something extremely important that cannot be replaced. It's another thing to actually live that and come out on the other side and be in your position. It's an unbelievable strength.
I must tell you, Daniel, if Benyamin was offered, he would have done the same. He would have done this again if obviously he did. He offered himself because he knew he was, he didn't have to die. Meaning he didn't have to volunteer himself and push himself forward. He wasn't commanded to go into this house with terrorists. He volunteered because they were shooting at soldiers. And this is all these stories. Now you know lots of people personally. These guys and these girls put their lives on the line for others in the nation. They weren't watching out for themselves. They're watching out for everybody else. So if I would have asked Benyamin, would you be willing to sacrifice your life for the nation? It's a no-brainer for him. And that's what they all did. This is loads and loads of October 7th stories and going out and fighting and going to catch the brigade. This is what they do. This is what we believe in. I'm just putting it into words, but they all did the action.
I think that, yes, what you're saying is correct. It's really hard. I would imagine it'd be very hard as a mother to get to that spot, and I'm in awe of your emunah and bitachon that you can be there. And it's really inspiring for me, and I hope for the audience as well, because, again, it's really easy to, I don't think it's even easy to think about such a thing. It's hard to think about such a thing, but to actually be there and to be a living example and someone who's going and speaking and talking and actively promoting this positive energy is a superhuman feat. And I just want to say that to you. I think it's a superhuman feat.
I think also I appreciate that. Thank you. I want to just say, like, it's not that, like, I didn't care about I don't know. I feel like maybe I need to say this, like, Benyamin
No.
Like
of
my
course
boy.
you care about
Benyamin
him.
was like my guy. He was my right-hand man. He was my buddy, like my beer buddy, my wine buddy, my Shabbos table buddy. Like, he was my, I just want that, like, I wasn't happy to, like, say, okay, check, like, we did our part now. Like,
No. God forbid. I think that your love for your son and for all of your children is so clear, which is what makes your ability to rise up and meet this challenge so unbelievably commendable and inspiring. Because of that love of your child that is very evident. That's what makes it so inspiring. You mentioned, I read that you were davening and crying about the same time that Benyamin rose up. Can you describe that a bit?
It was a real crazy Shabbos morning. Yeah, I was at shul, regular Shabbat, and right after reading of the Torah, I just felt like antsy. I felt like I just couldn't sit. I couldn't stay. I felt uncomfortable, and I just needed to leave. And I just wanted to come home. I just needed to go home. And I got home. My sweet little 10-year-old was with me, and it was like Hannah just davening with me. Like, yeah, here's Tehillim. Like, we're just. And at this point, I'm bawling my eyes out, and poor girl is like little girl. She's a sweetie pie. Like she's putting her arm around me, and I didn't know what to even tell her. Like I don't even know why I'm crying. And I was like, Hannah just davening with me, and we're reading Tehillim, and then she's so sweet. Actually, she was like literally right over here. She goes over to this bookcase behind me, and she takes out a book about Emunah and Bitachon, Sefer Mitzvot Bitachon. She takes this off the bookcase. She goes, Mommy, I think you need this. A book about faith and trust in God. I was like, okay, Hannah. And we open it up and we start learning together. Mamash, we really opened Habotech B'Hashem Chesed Yisov. The one who trusts in Hashem is surrounded by His loving kindness. And this is, like, I won't forget that. And this is what we were learning together. And then found out, and then a few hours later, initial soldiers knocked on the door Shabbos afternoon. After the initial Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, after trying to wrap our heads a little around what we had just heard, I'd asked the soldier what time it happened. And she said she doesn't know exactly, but the battle took place between 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning, which was when I left shul. Which is all very interesting because he didn't die for about another hour later. Meaning when I was crying, it wasn't that he had already died. Apparently I was fighting for his life. He was still alive. It wasn't like, oh, I felt that he died. Like, no, I didn't know what I was feeling. I had all the reason to believe he was okay. I spoke to him a few days earlier. He had called from somebody else's phone. He said he was great. His job was supposedly safer, which I didn't, which whatever. I say that like that because first of all, no job is totally safe. And second of all, he ended up having a different job that I didn't know about. So it was, yes, it was interesting, and it was, but I share, this is one of the things when I speak, I share about the fact that like when I found out that he was alive during that time, and I questioned like what was all the praying for? Like did my prayers fall on deaf ears? Did God say, "Whoops, sorry, Jen, not listening to you today. Like I've got other things to do." Like was I ignored? And when I found out what happened, when I found out how he died, when I found out everything, how he died I realized that God answered all of my prayers. Like God still said, sorry, but today's the day Benyamin's coming up. But Benyamin is a guy who could have been killed so many different times in his life. Some things really dumb things, and some things fighting Arabs and all these other noble things that he was protecting without a single weapon. And he would fight this and fight that, literally protecting the land, protecting people. And he could have been killed so many other times. And I felt like, you know what? God waited for this moment. Hashem waited to say, I'm going to let him die al Kiddush Hashem. I'm going to let him die on Shabbos. I'm letting him die doing exactly what he wants to do. I'm letting his family know exactly how he died, exactly where he was, what his belongings. These are not, we can't take these things for granted. How many people don't have a single thing to bury? How many people don't have any of their sons' belongings? How many people don't even know exactly what happened? I know Benyamin died instantly. I know Benyamin died with a smile on his face. He died doing exactly what he wanted to do. So obviously, we're still grieving, we're still mourning. On the other hand, God answered, and he said, if I'm going to take Benyamin up to Shamayim on Hey Kislev, today's going to be his day. It could be in an accident, it could be sickness, it could be this, it could be that. And I'm giving you the gift, Jen, of him dying al Kiddush Hashem, dying exactly what he would want to do, and exactly what we're so proud of. So if there's any way he's going to go up to Shamayim, yeah, this is the way we're proud of, and God answered all my prayers.
You mentioned there were so many other ways that he could have died. You're talking about as a child, he was wild. He was doing.
I'm not even talking about those ways. Yeah, obviously, any child, he could have, I don't know what, bungee jumping or
Right.
skating on the street, but no, I mean, like in the last few years, really protecting the lands, even before he was in the army,
Got it.
or outside of the army. I mean, he would, yeah, he had his fair share of exchanges with the Arabs.
What's the one thing you want the audience to take away about Benyamin and how he lived his life?
I don't even know how you can put something in one. I'll say a few. I don't know, because
Three.
Yeah. Okay, stop it.
Or 10.
You're
I
all
think
ears.
that I'm all ears, and was trying to make it a little bit less pressure than 10, but somewhere between 1 and 10.
No, but I will say, I mean, yeah. So it's like you mentioned, so he was definitely a wild kid, teenager, not one that you can put in a box, not one that you can say no to and expect him to just take the no and be okay with that. But something about Benjamin that actually is so beyond massive is he made a big change. He really he wanted to change. Benjamin knows how to live life. Like he knew how to like go do all his hikes, sleep on the beach, but then get things done. Meaning he knew how to. He didn't like to waste time. Benjamin doesn't like to waste time. So let's say if there's but he knows how to not. I'm not putting this very well. Benjamin would know how to get things done in a chilled way. How's that? He didn't stress over anything. He was never afraid of anything, but he always like got everything done. He always like built the house that he needed to build on the farm, and he would, take care of this sale and do that and finish that safer but chilled. I don't know how he did it, but like he didn't things didn't faze him. And
he was always under control.
But not because he controlled it. He just wasn't worried about things. It just I'll tell you another thing. He also didn't. He completely shunned materialism. He actually abhorred. He couldn't stand like the focus on materialism. Always, you go into his bedroom. He has so little in there. He had so few possessions because he just felt like, what's the point? Like, what do you need anything for? Very few clothes, very few anything, and he was probably one of the happiest people I know. Like he loved work, he loved accomplishing, he loved doing, he loved literally building, and he never cared for like buying things or unless it was, trees or building material, or he never, even his smartphone, he got rid of his smartphone when he was 16. He just thought the whole thing is a waste. Like,
wait, he's 16 years old and he voluntarily got rid of his smartphone?
Yeah. He just couldn't stand that people were on their phones when he was with them. He couldn't stand that like people were taking pictures of what they're eating. Like he just didn't believe in any of that. He believed in just being present. So he went back to a Nokia little dumb phone, and he actually even fundraised in his school so that if other people wanted to switch to that, the school would give them also a dumb phone. He created an area in the school that if you're going to hang out, no cell phones allowed. Like he just wanted people to actually just be present, and which was also one of his greatest skills. I think his greatest weapon was getting rid of this smartphone. And later on in the army, he had to get it for like towards the end. He needed a smartphone for whatever he needed it for, and like
to be able to communicate on WhatsApp, probably.
No, even that. Like he's like, if people need me, they'll call me. He like didn't care. But anyway, he did need it for certain things. And then afterwards I was like, oh, let's see what he has in his phone. Like I got his phone from the army. It's like pictures of nature, pictures of him when he's on the horse, doing shmirah, pictures of Arabs. I said to his friend, why does he have pictures of Arabs with like their documents? No, because if he would see anybody, he would go over to them, show me your documents. He'd pretend he's all official. They have to show him his things. He's taking pictures. Like he was just so happy because he just didn't care for all the fakeness of the world. He just was into being real, being nature, being present. And another thing was we talk about like role models. If you ask him who his role models are, he would tell you probably, I mean, I never asked him, but from things that I saw that he wrote, like all he cared, Yoshua, David, Shimshon, these are like, he looks to Tanakh figures. This is what he learns about. This is what, Elul, he like wrote that every day to do 2 prakim of Yoshua, Shoftim, Shmuel, Malachim. Like, learn about these are the real leaders. These are the people to emulate. These are the skills that you want to acquire. He doesn't care for, and then he took it all in. He described him during, first of all, so many people from this word like described him as David HaMelech for all these various reasons I could tell you if we have time. And then he would fought the Arabs, and when sometime one of the guys said to him, like, Benyamin, like, if the army didn't come and rescue us, like, it would have been 150, 200 Arabs against the 2 of us. Like, what would we have done? Tamut nafshi ba'plishtim, we would just fight. He's literally quoting Shimshon HaGibor. Somebody asked him about fighting this war, and somebody said to literally, his buddy told me, he told him in this war that he's fighting this war. He is going to fight in Gaza because of these women, our holy women, are not treated like this. You do this to our women, what you did on October 7th, and obviously afterwards we come and we kill you. This is Mahu Shimon and Levi. He thinks he's Shimon going to, do revenge for Dinah. This is, he loves this land and he loves this people. And he believes that everyone is Kedusha, everyone is Kadosh, everyone is holy, and the land is holy. He made decisions. He literally made decisions for himself based on Kedusha of the land and the people. That's what he believes.
Benjamin, next level character.
He's
next level character. That's my takeaway from hearing you describe just a few things. What are you doing personally as a family to continue on his legacy after he rose up?
So first of all, I want to just say one more thing about Benyamin, which is not about Benyamin. We once had a Aluf Misham, some high up army person here in the house, and he came. He wanted to hear stories about Benyamin. Never met Benyamin. He never met me before, but I guess as his position, he wanted to hear about each soldier. He goes around to each house to hear about each soldier. And after I'm sharing some things with him, I said, "This must be very hard for you to hear all these beautiful souls, hear these things. Now these people are not here anymore." He said, "No, mamash lo." At first I thought, does this guy have a heart of stone? What does that mean? And then I realized, no, he takes such pride. When he hears all these things, these are his soldiers. These are the people defending our land and our nation. And it gave him so much pride to hear how gorgeous, awesome, powerful, strong each of these soldiers are. So I'm saying that because I'm talking about Benyamin, but you and I both know all of our soldiers, all of our nation, but all of our soldiers on the field and up there, they're all awesome. Every one of them.
There's so many soldiers that sometimes when I'm speaking to their families, widows, brothers, sisters, whatever it might be, and they say, "I can't believe that you never met them." And I said, "No, it feels like I really have met them. And I wish I would have had a chance to get a drink with them."
Yeah, you will. You will.
Yeah. But they're such unbelievable people that
they all are. Even the ones who are down in this world fighting and doing their jobs. Meaning, this is a sampler. You're hearing about these soldiers, but they're all, every single one, it's like this, which is I think that's what gave this Aluf Mishneh, this army guy, the pride, is that he's well, you're telling me about these guys, but that means I have a whole army of all these guys, which is quite cool.
Okay, clearly Benyamin was an unbelievable person, and I know you and your family are doing some unbelievable things to continue his legacy after he rose up. Can you please describe some of those initiatives and how people can get involved?
Ooh, wow, amazing. We opened a retreat center, actually. We opened up a house in Tzfat called Beit Binyamin. It's crazy. We bought this house and we did all this construction. We thought, like, this is like before the war. We thought we're making like fancy Airbnbs so people can come up to Tzfat and like enjoy Tzfat because we love Tzfat. Benyamin learned in Tzfat. I was always jealous that he got to be up there. And so we bought this house and literally with like 8 bedrooms, and we're like, we're going to make it like top notch. People can come and like really pay a lot of money and be in this fancy house. And then before construction was finished, war broke out. And obviously we're not doing anything. Nobody's thinking of anything like that. And then 6 weeks later, Benyamin's killed and it's just sitting there. And then within a few months, I told my husband, I want to open a center like for like non-religious to come and see how beautiful and delicious Yiddishkeit is. Like there, you see these soldiers putting on tefillin and tzitzis and everybody's inspired. Everyone's singing songs of Emunah, but they don't know about Shabbos. They don't know about kosher. They don't know. So I wanted to open up a place. My husband's like, well, it's more like people need like, spas, retreats, massages, therapy. I'm like, great, we'll do all that. Like they should just come and like revive soulfully and connect. And, my husband's like, anyway, bottom line is we decided that that's what this house is going to be. We turned
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and they can find this on. There's a website.
So I'll tell you. So basically, this now house has been running. We've been hosting retreats. It's Beit Binyamin, BeitBinyamin.org. It has been nonstop. We have been hosting Miluim. Actually, I was just in Tzfat yesterday. There are 2 couples that are there. One couple, meaning all Miluim guys. Not only meaning we're hosting all sorts of other organizations and children who have been traumatized from the fighting and then all sorts. It's not just for soldiers, but it happens to be that's what we've had recently. Just yesterday, there was one couple there with their kids. It was the first time since the war started. He's been away overnight with his wife and his family. He's been doing Miluim for 200 plus days. He's been back at work. Then he goes back again into the army and he hasn't been with his family. So here we give them a place. First of all, it's stunning, gorgeous. Again, we thought this was going to be for fancy Americans. Now it's for the deserving people who are serving this country and fighting for this country. And we give them a spa, we give them food, we give them whatever tipulim they need. Art therapy when it's a group. They get pampered like crazy, and they literally message after message. One wife said to me, I feel like I'm able to stop taking my antidepressants because what you just gave us. I've had people who we had a retreat for Miluim wives, and they just said, all this time we're so busy, it's like just doing, and now we're like, oh my gosh, we're actually seen. Oh my gosh, now I feel like I'm happy to send my husband off and fight because I know someone sees me. She's the strength behind her husband going to fight. She's the one that has to run the whole show at home. She's the one that takes the kids to the doctors. And nobody acknowledges her on a... Anyway, these are people who, so thank God, people are feeling revived. They come out ready to like either go back to war or ready to take the step saying, you know what, now I'm actually ready for therapy because I feel like I got to actually just breathe. Now I'm ready to reconnect with these are families that haven't been together. Family that have not taken vacations. Families that have not husband and wives. They stay there together and we have different units. Anyway, it's we feel unbelievably blessed that so many people are feeling just reconnected, reunited with their families, revived with their families, and Beit Binyamin, it's in Tzfat, so you have like the beautiful views, you have like the mystical feeling of the city, and then the wine.
The air is different.
The air is totally different. You just feel disconnected from the world, but you don't have to leave the country. But yet, kol hakavod to all these, retreats that go here, there, and everywhere on flights.
Of course.
But where they don't have so much time away. They're finally home from fighting, or they're finally able to take some days off of work from trying to figure out their schedules with doing Miluim. We've had lone soldier retreats. We've had, all sorts. And these guys, one mother called me. She's like, I haven't seen my son look this light since the war started. So they come, and it's been non-stop. We don't have a single weekend available. They're booked. It's I just feel so grateful that that we're able to offer this. And I think also people feel incredibly uplifted when they come, not just because it's so beautiful, not just from all the pampering, but they see pictures of Benyamin and they understand that the story is a resilient one. They understand that we could have said, sorry, this is our house. Like, it's ours. And we're using it for us. We're using it to make money. But they feel that, wow, this is someone that took something and is now giving it to the nation. This is something that's, Beit Binyamin could have been, again, our private thing, but instead we're saying, what can we do with it? How can we use this house to help others? How can we use the suffering, the trauma that we've been through to uplift others and give to others? And I think people walk away with that message after they've been there. The families feel that.
I think people also can clearly see that the Airley family is on a extremely high spiritual level, because your strength, resilience, and devotion to Klal Yisrael and to the well-being of the nation is really, really unbelievable. BeitBinyamin.org. If you send me that link, we'll include it in the show notes. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share about Benyamin, his legacy, and what you guys are doing to continue so people learn his story and come closer to Judaism and learn about the beauty of Israel. And it's unbelievable to see your strength. And are you planning on coming to the United States anytime soon?
I have a couple of trips scheduled. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure that is there a way for people to check where you're going, or it's just going to be announced, I guess,
I think sometimes
locally?
the truth is, if you follow Beit Binyamin on Instagram, everything is
Got
there.
it.
We have a great social media team that's doing everything. And I really appreciate this because we completely rely on donations. This is the more we can say yes more, the more we can heal we can heal a lot more after but this is why I go speaking. I go speak, and the money goes to Beit Binyamin. This is it.
And, it's unbelievable. You're in this position, and you are focused on raising money to help other people so that they can be uplifted and continue to find a better situation. It's just unbelievable. And I think that
you know what the funny thing is? 16 months ago, Jen was I'm a personal trainer. I am an exercise physiologist by degree. So I guess my life has always been rah-rah. And come on, you guys can do it. And my life has always been, you need a healthy body so you can house your healthy soul. And now it's not one-on-one training. It's like for the nation. Because that's my thought. We need to be physically healthy, emotionally healthy, spiritually healthy. And we all are, we can be able to focus on what needs to be our main focus, right? The main thing is to keep the main thing, and that's really bringing Geulah. That's really bringing redemption, Beit HaMikdash, Mashiach, because that's going to be the true life. So,
Amen. Thank you, Jen. Rachel, thank you very much. And I look forward to connecting very soon. The Beit Binyamin will be in the show notes, and anyone who wants to check it out, be happy to make an introduction and see how people can get involved. Thank you so much.
Daniel, thank you for spreading the light for the nation.
Thank you.